welcome to another episode of The Offline Gamer. This is episode 45. My name's Ray.
And my name's Matt.
And we've got a lot to talk about, including our 2019 Kickstarter awards.
Oh, it's that time of year again.
Yep. Is it also the time of year where we review what still hasn't arrived?
Oh, it should be, shouldn't it? Yeah, I'll have to get that list up before we get there. But yeah, I've got a few things. Most of the things on my list will be things that I talked about last year.
Yes, one of the ones that has been on my list for... I think I've talked about it twice, maybe 3 times.
Yeah.
It's still not here. I have checked on it specifically for the episode, just so I can say, yep, still not here. Okie dokie. So, what's going on in offline gamer world at the moment?
Oh, well, I've been playing lots and lots and lots of things. You've been playing a few things as well.
A few things, yeah.
Yeah.
A couple of bits and bobs, and I bought a couple of things. Cheekily. Because there was a sale.
Subtly, and
yeah.
Not without telling someone.
Well, you know, it's my money. But one thing, because it was in a sale, and I've pre-ordered another thing that won't, unlock until next month, but I have technically bought it because I have paid for it.
Okay, well, let's talk about what we've been playing and buying then.
Yep. You've got a lot more than me.
I have. That actually, looking at your list, there's a lot of crossover between digital games that we've played as well. So should we go through those first?
I suppose so.
So
yes.
we've both played quite a bit of Slay the Spire.
Yes. It had its 2.0 patch.
It did.
Come out in January, which included a 4th character, which I can't play yet.
I can, but I haven't, so...
Because I haven't won the game on a standard run, but I've won the game in daily challenges.
Right.
So the thing that annoys me is that the 2 characters with which I have won on daily challenges do let me tick to put ascension levels in. So in that respect, they count as having won, but not apparently in the way that they want you to have won the game to unlock the 4th character.
Things, yeah.
Which is kind of annoying because I've seen some of the cards that the 4th character has and they look quite fun.
Yeah.
And yeah. So
I actually bought it because I had it on Game Pass and I was playing it on the Xbox and then I installed it on the PC. But then when version 2 came out, they haven't... I don't know if they have now, but at the time, it's like 2 weeks ago, they hadn't... After it had been out for a couple of weeks, they still hadn't released it on the Windows Store. So I just went online and found a cheap CD key for like the Steam version. I think it cost me like £7.
yeah.
So I just bought it.
Yeah.
And I was able to transfer all my saves across as well. I found a nice post on Reddit saying, if you've got the Windows Store version and you want to transfer all of your unlocks to the Steam version, this is what you do. So I did, and so I didn't lose any progress. That was quite nice.
Yeah, I have played 41 hours and I still haven't technically won a standard run.
Let's see how many hours I've put into it.
Yeah, so for context, I finished Bioshock Infinite in 15 hours.
Right, okay.
Let's have a look.
I don't know, do I? Because on Steam, it's only showing how long I've played since I've had it on Steam.
Since you've had it on Steam.
So I've only played an hour on Steam, so I don't know. But I think I would say 5 or 6 hours max.
I'm only 15 hours behind my total play hours for Mass Effect 2.
Is that your most played game?
No, my most played game, I think, is either Borderlands 2 with 211 hours or Team Fortress 2, which doesn't tell me how many hours I've played. I haven't played it for quite a while, to be fair.
Is there a way you can view just that? View all played games and it'll show you how many hours you played them?
Maybe. Hang on. Yeah, so Team Fortress 2, 279.
Wow.
Borderlands 2, 212. Borderlands GOTY 80, Binding of Isaac 66, Mass Effect 2 57, Dragon Age Origins 52, Sid Meier's Civ 5 50, Slay the Spire 41.
Okay.
Tied with Torchlight 2, just above Portal 2 and Darkest Dungeon, and XCOM. And then Audiosurf.
So mine's quite interesting. My top game is PUBG with 230 hours, which I didn't realise I'd put that many hours into it, but obviously I have. Mind you, that's over 3 years or so. And then after that is Borderlands 2 with 58 hours, so there's quite a difference between my second and my first.
Yeah.
Then Counter-Strike Source, 35 hours, LA Noire, 35 hours, Watch Dogs 2, 35 hours, and then Doom, 29 hours. That's interesting. So, next up, we've both played The Outer Worlds.
Yes.
So I've played this through and completed it. So Outer Worlds, a sort of futuristic first-person shooter, sort of like Mass Effect. Imagine Mass Effect if it was made by Bethesda. So it's sort of like a Skyrim, Oblivion, Mass Effect type hybrid, isn't it?
It's kind of Mass Effect mix with Fallout.
Yeah.
It's made by Monolith as well.
They make New Vegas, they did, didn't they?
Yeah.
Outer Worlds I really enjoyed. As I was able to complete it over the Christmas break. Again, got it free on Game Pass. And you're playing it on Game Pass as well, aren't you?
Yes, I am. Bizarrely though, even though it's I don't know how many hours I've played because Game Pass on PC is a bit weird. First of all, it says, you have to go through the store and you have to do this and you have to do that and you have to set up Xbox for What's-It and upgrade to 1909 before you can do that and then do this, that and the other, all to get the game. But then as soon as you play the game the first time, it just puts an icon in your start menu directly to the game, so I'm like, okay, fine. Well, what am I doing? I'm investigating some distress signal from some scientist somewhere that's trying to make diet toothpaste.
Right, yes, okay.
After trying to do another mission and getting instantaneously murdered, I was like, okay, I'll do that one later then. Yeah,
it's there's definitely a certain order you should do things. Although I think the game is generally quite linear, and it forces you down a certain path. Even though there are a lot of decisions to make, you have to make them in a certain order.
Yeah.
But it's still relatively open worlds. There's a lot of places you can go, but like you say, you might find yourself outgunned if you go to certain things. Like very early on, I found like a little area where a ship had crashed, and I went in there to loot it, and then all these drones started coming along and literally shot me dead in like 2 shots. So I was like, oh yeah, I'm not supposed to be here yet. Yeah.
I think a lot of the monsters remind me quite closely of Borderlands and Borderlands 2 monsters, though. Because there's like things that look a bit like dogs, but their face is open, which is very Borderlandsy.
Yeah.
There's flying things, which is very Borderlandsy. They look like the Rack. And then there's the weird, like, monkey-looking ape things that go underground, and they look very much like bullymongs from Borderlands. So I thought that was a bit... I'm thinking, well, I suppose, how many alien things can you think up? Something that looks a bit like a monkey, something that looks a bit like a dog, and something that looks a bit like a pterodactyl. But yeah, that's my criticism thus far, is that some of the monsters look quite similar to Borderlands monsters.
So what else have you been up to then in the PC space?
In the PC space, I have pre-ordered Doom Eternal.
I saw that and I was like, you haven't been playing that, have you? I didn't think it was out yet. And now it's not until March.
No. It's not out till the 20th. So the 20th or the 21st. I think it's 20th for America, so that probably means it'll be the 21st for the UK. Just to ruin my day. And I was sitting there thinking, because the 20th's a Friday. Shall I take that day off just so I can play Doom? Just so I can sit there and install Doom and then blow stuff up?
So I would recommend not doing that, and the reason I'd say don't book a day off for a game release is because our friend Sean from work booked some days off because he wanted to play the Final Fantasy VII remake, and then it got delayed.
Yeah.
So he wasn't very happy about that.
Well, Doom has already been delayed once, and I haven't pre-ordered Cyberpunk, so that's good, because that obviously has been delayed till September.
Oh,
I
has
think.
it? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it got delayed by 6 months, I think.
Excellent.
And then, well, Project, was it CD Projekt Red, I believe, are also starting the potential for a Witcher 4 game.
Ooh.
That won't follow Geralt, but some other witchery type thing. I think they've been in discussion with the author to find someone else that you can play as.
Oh, interesting.
I think it'd be cool to play as Ciri, but I suppose that storyline is sort of over and done with.
Yeah, and it's tied very closely with Geralt. I think if they were going to do that, they'd go for someone who's got nothing to do with that, and maybe they'd set it in a different time period as well.
Well, they might do. I've forgotten his name now. The guy, the Witcher who trains Geralt.
Oh yeah,
Vesemir.
Yes.
Maybe they'll do sort of his timeline before he picks up 8-year-old Geralt, or however old he is when he picks him up on the side of the road. That'd be interesting. Or, even better, have a lady Witcher. Getting slightly distracted there. Yes, Doom Eternal.
Oh yes.
I was umming and ahhing about pre-ordering it because I don't really pre-order things very much nowadays. I think the last thing I actually pre-ordered was The Witcher 3. And I was watching I was scrolling through Facebook and an IGN video was there all about the new arsenal and the quick swap mods for your guns and all this stuff for Doom Eternal. And I was like, yeah, okay, fair enough. Because I am going to play it.
Yeah.
And I don't want to wait ages for it to come down to a slightly more sensible price, because it's still effing expensive, even for the base game.
How much was it, like 45 or?
It's 50 quid for the base game.
Oh dear.
That's like not even the deluxe version. The deluxe version's 75, and then there's another version on top of that, which is like the collector's edition, which is like over 100 quid. And I'm like, are you having a giggle? Because I'm pretty sure the only thing that's got anything physical involved is the collector's edition. But like the standard version and the deluxe version, it's all just digital.
Yeah, I'm just trying to read what the difference is between them.
Well, if you pre-order, everybody gets a couple of skins and a copy of Doom
64. Yeah.
I don't know when one receives that, because I haven't had any emails about it. I assume it'll be after the actual release of Doom Eternal. Even though I think I've got about 1 billion different versions of Doom anyway.
You get the Year 1 pass, which will include the first 2 DLCs.
Yes, yeah.
You get the Demonic Slayer skin and the classic weapons sound pack. So I'm imagining that makes it so that the games sound like they did in the original Doom.
Yeah, see, for an extra 25 quid, that doesn't sound...
No, and the DLCs will probably be cheaper than that anyway.
Yeah. Right, uncategorised.
And the skins probably only really matter in multiplayer, so it's like, ooh, look at me, I've got this lovely flaming skin that shows I've spent £25 more than you have.
Yeah, I don't care.
Yeah.
That's why I just went for the regular one, which still, slightly painful pricing there. But I suppose I got a new job, so
Well, oh yes, that's true.
I suppose that'll be my treat.
You're a bit more flush.
Not by a lot, but enough to afford a game.
Okay. You've got one more game noted down then for your digital realm, haven't you?
Yes, when I pre-ordered Doom, there was also a game in the sale that has been on my wish list for a while, and it was down to £6. So I thought, yeah, might as well. Which is For the King.
And didn't we play this at EGX? Or you played it at EGX?
Yes, played it at EGX a couple of years ago now.
Yeah, we didn't go last year, did we? So 2018.
No, because it moved back to London, didn't it?
Yeah.
So yes, it is a strategic RPG that blends tabletop and roguelike elements in a challenging adventure that spans the realms. And it also came with 5 expansions for £6, and I was
Wow,
like,
okay.
yeah, sure, whatever.
That's really good.
And this, I remember, was, I believe it was like hex-based movement, and then you go into little dungeons, and then you can have fights out in the open, and it was kind of a bit like Armello, but a bit more involved. And it was like £6.15 or something like that in the sale. So I thought, why not?
I mean, even not in the sale, it's only £15.
Yeah.
But this current sale is on for another 25 hours as of recording. So if you're listening to this after the 10th of February, then it's not on sale anymore.
No. It probably will be again.
No, yeah.
It'll probably be, let me think, what's the next? It'll probably be Easter, probably the next Steam sale. Unless they can throw one in for Mother's Day, but Steam are American and their Mother's Day is different to ours, so. Yep, so those are my playing and buying.
Okay. So on the digital realm then, I've played a few things. Most of these I've been streaming on Twitch. So we've talked about that. So I'm sort of on a similar vein to the Outer Worlds. I decided to go back to No Man's Sky because it's been, I think, 2 or 3 years since I played it, not long after release when there was a lot of stuff missing. So I decided to re-download it and stream it a bit, and it's a completely different game. It's got a decent tutorial to get you into it, because that was the thing I struggled with last time. I sort of like didn't really know what I was supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
But now there's like a decent storyline and a plot, and you can obviously deviate from that and do your own thing. But for a first time playthrough, the game walks you through, okay, you now need to get off this planet, you need to get these minerals to power your engine up so you can go into hyperspace and get to this space station, and then you get to like a bigger space station which has got like lots of other players in. So it's sort of like multiplayer, but not quite. But as you're walking around, you see all the other players walking around as well. So yeah, I'm not massively far into it, but I'm enjoying what I've played so far a lot more than I did when I played it originally. So, and there's been a lot of reviews online saying, you know, this is the state the game is in now, which is a much better state it was in when it first came out. So yeah, if you liked the look of No Man, all the stuff that they announced No Man's Sky was going to be, but you were disappointed when it came out, I'd go back to it now because yeah, it is more like what they originally envisioned the game would be like. So.
Super.
Black Mesa is next. I went back and played this because they've released the Zen chapter. So for those who don't know, Black Mesa is the remake of the first Half-Life game. Not like Valve did with Half-Life Source, where they just ported the entire game to the Source engine, and it basically looked like exactly the original game, except the water effects were a bit nicer. This, you know, a team of modders have literally recreated the entire game from scratch. It's taken them about 15 years to do, but yeah, so I've been playing through the campaign. So I've done all of the Earthbound stuff, and I've just got to Zen. And it's a bit hit and miss. There's a lot of like random just running around putting plugs into things, but they have expanded it a lot based on what it was like in the original Half-Life. But a lot of the reviews of it have said that the Zen chapters are actually the worst thing about the game because there's just a lot of wandering around not doing very much. But it does look a lot nicer than Zen did in the original game. But I've enjoyed it, but I do see why people say it's the worst part of the game. I haven't finished it yet. I've just got to the first big boss. Did you ever play the original Half-Life?
No.
So when you get to the alien world, you do a bit of exploring and things like that, and then you have to defeat this like giant alien, but that's not the end boss. You think it is, but it's not. There's loads more to do after that. So I've just got to that boss, and the first time I tried to kill it, I think I got my ass handed to me. So I've got to go back and try that again. But I think Black Mesa, it was free at one point. I don't think it is anymore because it's not beta anymore. Let me see how much that costs. £15. So if you liked the original Half-Life and you want to like play a modern recreation of it, I'd definitely recommend it. So they started developing it like not long after Half-Life 2 came out. The game was released, just the Earth chapters, in 2015, and then they just released the last part of the game at tail end of last year. So 4 years after the game came out, they finally released the second half of the game. So yeah, it's taken them a while, but you know, I think it's worth it if you like Half-Life. So The Pedestrian I played. So this is a Kickstarter I backed a while back that finally got released. So this is the one where you play the little guy in the traffic signs, and you have to solve all the puzzles to wander around between different signs. Very good. I enjoyed it a lot. I was waiting for it for what, 2 or 3 years, I think.
Something like that.
Last year it was on my delayed Kickstarters at the start of the year. So, but yeah, and the last level is very different. I won't spoil it for anyone, but you play the whole game in a certain way until you get to the last level, and then you have to use what you've learned, but you play it differently. That's all I'll say. Okay. But if you like puzzle games and that kind of thing, then yeah, The Pedestrian I would definitely recommend. It was a good buy, I think, and it's now available on Steam and GOG, I think. So yeah, you can now purchase it.
Lovely.
And last of all, before we started recording today, I realised that Wolfenstein Youngblood is now available on Xbox Game Pass. So I downloaded that and started playing that today, which is just... if you've played the latest instalments in the Wolfenstein series, you have, haven't you?
I've played one of them.
Yeah. The first one, maybe?
Yeah, the first revamp.
Yeah.
I can't remember which one it was called now.
I think it's just called Wolfenstein, and then you had Wolfenstein The New Order, and then you had Wolfenstein 2, The New Colossus. I don't think it was called The New Order, actually, but yeah. The something order, I think. And then, so this is the fourth one in the series. And in this one, you play... This one's set in 1980, and you play the daughters of BJ Blazkowicz, because he's gone missing in this game. So you play the two daughters, and you have to find them. And it's interesting, actually. There's a co-op mechanism. So if you play the game on your own, the AI controls the sister that you're not playing. And every so often you'll get to a thing where it's like, okay, I have to push this button, but there's two of them, so your sister has to go and push it as well. So obviously the computer does that. But if you're playing with another person, and you can have the game set to play co-op with just your friends, and you have to invite them, or you can have it open, so that while you're playing the game, a random player can just jump in and take over the control of the other character.
Yeah.
Which is quite cool. So I haven't done that yet. I've just been playing in sort of private mode. So if you got the game, because it's on Game Pass, we could play together.
Ooh.
But it's the same sort of thing, you know, killing Nazis, but obviously the alternate history has moved on a little bit. So America's been liberated, but and your family lives in America, but you have to go back to Europe to help find your dad. So if you liked any of the old Wolfenstein games, then yeah, Youngblood is definitely one that I'd recommend as well.
Cool.
So I guess we better move on to tabletop games.
Yep.
Yes. So there's no tabletop games that you've played that I haven't played as well, is there, this month?
No.
Okay. So I'll run through mine, and then we'll talk about the ones we played together. So most of the ones I played are ones that we've talked about before, so I won't go over them too much. But some of the games I've played this month that we've talked about before is Tiny Epic Western, because I bought that to Karen for Christmas, because I think she liked it for the same reason you liked it, which was the bullet dice.
Yeah.
I think that was the main thing that drew to that game, wasn't it?
Yeah, they were quite fun.
So yeah, I bought her that Christmas and we played it over Christmas. And I think she won that. Machikoro, we played, which you and I have played, I think.
Once, I think.
Yeah, we played it at the Great Indoors a few years back, didn't we?
Yeah.
And then I bought it and I haven't played it since then. So yeah, we played that. A little town building game where you're buying cards which let you do things when you roll the dice. And some of them happen on your turn, some of them happen on other players' turns. And yeah, it's just like a nice little building game. Kill Dr. Lucky, which I've talked about before, which is by Cheap Ass Games, which is the sort of like bills itself as what happens in Cluedo before the murder happens, where you're actually playing the characters who are trying to kill him, which I've talked about before. El Luchador Fantastico Grande. Now this is one of the very first games I ever backed on Kickstarter, and I wanted to play this again to see how well it held up, because obviously the last time we played it, I mean we played it, 4 or 5 years ago?
Something
and it's
like
just
that.
been sitting in a box in my bedroom since then. And it's just basically a simple dice rolling card battling game where you're playing Mexican wrestlers hitting each other. And it's a very simple game, but it still works. The only problem I had with it was that the game's got a like a wrestling belt prize that's all shiny.
Yeah.
It's lost all of its shine. It's not shiny anymore.
Oh.
So yeah, that was a bit disappointing.
You have to give it a polish.
Yeah, I don't know if it will. I think it looks like the shininess has just sort of like evaporated or something. I'm not quite sure what's happened to it. So it was a bit disappointing. Next up is a game that again I backed like 3 or 4 years ago but have never played, and it was Cat Tube Famous. So this is the game where you're playing like a YouTuber who is making cat videos, and you have to like match the trends that are going on at the time. So as the game goes on, it will like you'll reveal cards that say, "Oh, happy cats are very popular at the moment," so you want to be trying to play cards with happy cats on. And you basically get points based on you play a video and it has all these different categories on, and you're multiplying the points together, and then whoever's got the most points wins the trend cards that are currently trending. And then at the end of the game, you just add up all the points on the trend cards you've been able to collect, and the person with the most points is the winner. I'm not sure how much I liked this, to be honest. I don't think this is going to stay in my collection. I think this might be going to the Bring and Buy at UKGE this year.
Yeah.
I'll only get a few quid for it because it's only a small card game, but I wasn't taken with it. But I'm sure there'll be some people who are. But yeah, it's a mixed bag for me. Played it once, thought it was alright, probably will never play it again.
I'm sure I played it at a game night and you brought it along and you were playing something else and I was playing with a different group.
Okay, maybe. I think I have brought it to a couple of game nights and never played it.
I remember enough about it to make me think that I have played it. But obviously it was a very long time ago.
What's next? Multi-Universum. So this is another game I talked about before. I bought this at UKGE a few years ago. You're basically playing scientists who are trying to seal portals to other dimensions that have opened, and you're playing cards that give you different actions depending on where you are in the game area. And you're just closing portals, gaining points from closing them, and the person who's got the most points is the winner. Not much more to say about that. Sushi Roll. So this is a new game. So this is one I bought a few weeks ago from our good friends at Asgard Games. Don't know if you remember, I was trying to get this at UKG last year, but everywhere was sold out of it.
Yeah.
So finally, I bought it. And I can't remember how similar this is to normal Sushi Go, because it's been a while since we played Sushi Go. But basically, you've got all these dice with all the little bits of food on them. So, puddings or, I can't remember what they are, maki rolls, nigiri, things like that. And you're rolling them. But what you're doing is you roll your selection, take a dice, and then everyone passes their dice to the dice that are left to the player to their right, I think it is. And then, so it's like a conveyor belt going around in a sushi restaurant. And then you're trying to make sets of things, and if you get sets of certain things, then you get more points. And then at the end of every round, it's basically, okay, the player who's got the most of these gets so many points, and the person who's got the second most gets this many points. And you're just adding up points until you get to the end of the game. And the person with the most points, as usual, is the winner. So I really like this. Not just because it's a food-based game. It's nice. It's good production. The dice are all really nice and very clear as to what they all are. The printing's really good. And it wasn't too expensive. So if you like Sushi Go, I would imagine you will like this. Does it sound similar from Sushi Go? I can't remember. Are you doing that thing where you're passing cards between players? I can't remember.
Yeah, you do.
Okay. So it's the same sort of mechanics, but just with dice instead of cards.
Yeah.
And a funny thing is, in the rules, where they give you like the examples of what all the various players are, there were 4 players mentioned in the rules. So Karen and I have, Karen has some friends called Andrew and Chris, who I obviously now know through her. And there is an Andrew and a Chris in the rulebook. And then there's a Karen. But then there's not a Matthew, there's a Meredith.
Ah.
So she called me Meredith throughout the game.
Fair enough.
Which was disappointing. It was so close though. I mean, for them to have the Andrew and Chris and then a Karen and then a character beginning with the letter M, it so easily could have been Matthew. Next up is Dinosaur Island. Now, I enjoyed this a lot, but I've got a few things to say about it. The first thing is the setup time is ridiculous. There are so many components and so many boards and things that you have to set up. I think it took us about 20-25 minutes to set the game up to get to a point where we'd actually start playing it. It was really, really complicated. I mean, don't get me wrong, the components are all really nice and they're all lovely and I thought it was great, but it's just a lot of setup time. And I think this is the longest setup time I've ever had for a game that I've played. Or that I own, certainly. I may have played games with other people where they've obviously spent 20 minutes setting the game up before I've got there, but for one that I own, this is without a doubt the longest setup for a game I have. And then when you play the game, there's a lot to it. So it's at its core, it's a worker placement game where you are placing scientists or workers in various parts of the game at different phases to firstly research DNA. So you buy a dinosaur and say, I've researched this type of dinosaur, and you put it in your park. You each get a little board with spaces on for you to build your park. But you are, at that point, not actually owning that dinosaur. It's just basically you've said, this is the DNA I've researched, and I am going to start making this type of dinosaur.
Yeah.
So in phase 1, you're just doing that. You are using your scientists to research things. Then in phase 2, you are using, I can't remember what they are, little tokens to buy things, like hiring more specialists or building attractions like gift shops or things like that to put in your park. Or buying DNA tokens. So you have different colours of DNA, and each type of dinosaur needs a different combination of those DNA. And you have basic ones and advanced ones, and to make the advanced ones, you've got to either buy them at a more expensive price, or you use the basic DNA, mix it together to get a better DNA. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's phase 2. Then in phase 3, you're placing your workers to create the dinosaurs or increase the security level of your park, things like that. And then in phase 4, you actually do the park. So you attract visitors based on excitement level of your park, and you are drawing visitors out of a bag. And there are normal visitors, but there are also hooligans who don't pay money and you don't get points for them, things like that. They're just there to cause a bit of trouble. So you're drawing out the number of meeples you've got based on how many visitors you've got in your park. You're lining them all up in a queue, and then you're putting them in the park based on the spaces you've got. So you might end up not having enough spaces in your park for the number of visitors that you've attracted. So the ones that don't get in just sit there on the outside. They don't get you any money. And then, depending on the security level of your park, if it's not high enough, dinosaurs will get out and will eat some of your visitors. Which is obviously not very good. And you lose points for every visitor that gets eaten. So,
I mean, we've all seen that movie.
What are you talking about? Are you saying this is based on a movie?
No.
Okay. In phase 4, you clean up everything up, and then there are objective cards, and if someone's hit one of those objectives, they put a little token on them, and then I think it's when there's one left that hasn't been claimed, everyone else gets one more round, and then that's it. You just add up all the points and things, and someone's the winner. So the first couple of rounds, obviously with this type of game, you're just getting to grips with what is good for me to buy. Obviously, the first time you're just sort of like, I don't know what I should be doing, so I'm just going to put one of my workers there and see what happens. But eventually, you get to grips with it. And as I say, everything's well laid out. Each of the phases has got a separate board, and it says, right, everything you need to do in phase 1 is on this board, so put your little characters somewhere on this board. Everything you need to do in phase 2 is over here, phase 3 is over here, and then phase 4 is your park that you've got in front of you. So it's all laid out very nicely, and it all makes sense. And if you like worker placement games, I mean, I've not played many, but I think it is a style of game I generally enjoy, then you will enjoy this. It just takes a lot of time to set up. But they've just really started a new one, haven't they? Duelosaur Island, which is just a 2-player version, which apparently is a lot simpler to set up and play. So I'm tempted to investigate that as well. But I would recommend Dinosaur Island. I think it took us about 2.5 hours to play, but obviously that includes the initial learning how the game is played. But yeah, I liked it, and I think Karen liked it as well. So, and obviously the theme is a good theme. Lots of people like dinosaurs and certain film franchises. So I'd recommend Dinosaur Island, but I don't think it's for everyone. So definitely have a read of it and maybe watch some videos online before you decide to purchase it. So last up is Ruthless from Alley Cat Games, which is a game we've talked about a couple of times on this podcast. I think Pete mentioned this when he came on to do his Essen Spiel thing, because he's seen it there and he really liked it. And we saw it at UKG a couple of years ago, and I pre-ordered it directly at the Alley Cat Games booth. But this is the first time I've had a chance to play it. And it's basically your standard deck building game where there's like a marketplace of pirates, and you're buying pirates to recruit them to your ship, but you're trying to make poker hands. So if you get 2 of a kind or 3 of a kind or a straight, then you get rewards, and you just go through the game building up your deck, and each of the cards has different actions, like you can force another player to discard a card, or you can use them for money to buy better pirates. And if you like deck building games, I mean, I think you know me, I like Dale of Merchants. That's, for me, the pinnacle of the sort of deck building genre. I just love it so much. And this is very much in a similar vein. It's got a good theme around it, the whole pirates thing, and the theme plays well with the mechanics of you like recruiting people and stuff like that. So I think this is a really good deck builder. Not quite up there with Dale of Merchants, but definitely one that I'm going to keep in my collection and I'll play again because I really enjoy it. So that's Ruthless from Alley Cat Games.
Okay, so we've also had a couple of occasions to play games in the same place at the same time.
We have.
Yes. So I think it was the day before my birthday. We went over to New Asgard.
We did. First time you've been there.
Yes. And had a play of a few games.
Well, before we talk about the games, what did you think of New Asgard?
I think it's got a lot of space in it. Mm-hmm. I think they've portioned up the space and divided it quite well. So you have the sort of shop bit. You don't have to walk through the gaming space to get to the shop bit, mm-hmm. which might put some people off because you don't want to have to like try and fiddle through all the tables and try and squeeze through behind people's backs and all that stuff just to go and look at what's on sale. And there was quite a variety of people coming in who I don't know whether they were coming in primarily for the games or whether they were coming in for a cup of coffee or whatever, because it was a bit of a chilly day.
Yeah.
But yeah, it seems to be done quite well. and it looks like it's doing, the food was nice.
Yes.
There were plenty of games to play. There were plenty of tables. And as I say, there were quite a lot of different people wandering through. It was a bit off-putting because we sat by the window. It was a bit odd because the pavement outside is like not the same height as the floor inside.
Yeah, it's like at the bottom of the window, isn't it?
Yeah, because it's on like a little slope outside. So it's a bit weird. Like, right next to your eye level, there's people's feet, and people were coming right up to the window to peer in. So it was a bit like, go away, stop peering at me. But
that's my fault for choosing the window then, I guess.
Yeah. I
wanted to sort of like make it look like there were people in there playing games, to maybe draw some people in.
Yeah, but yeah, it was good.
Cool.
And while we were there, we had a go at a review copy of Subterra 2.
Yes.
Which I think once we got going, it was quite fun.
Yeah.
However, because it was a review copy, there were bits missing that it referenced in the rules. The rules were missing, so we had to find the rules online. And then the rules were referring to things that we didn't have, so it was like, well, it could be these plain cubes or it could be these plain beads. We're not sure what is supposed to represent what. But we muddled through.
We did.
And I think the gameplay was quite fun.
I actually preferred it to the first one, I think.
Yeah, because I think it's a bit more adventure-y and less horror-y.
Yeah.
Because the first one's very much like survival horror kind of thing. It's very much like the films The Descent, where you're trapped in an underground cave and there are creepy things trying to kill you and chase you. Whereas the Subterra 2, you are adventurers, archaeologists, whatever, looking for a specific artifact that you have to find the treasure room and then bring 3 keys to the treasure room to unlock the door or unlock the pedestal or whatever it is to grab the artifact and then leg it before you either get killed by the Sentinel Guardians, or if the game goes on long enough, or you play on a hard enough setting, then you are exploring under a volcano, and the volcano starts to erupt. So tiles start turning into lava. Just to give you a little bit more drama to the proceedings. But yeah, I quite enjoyed it in terms of the play, once we finally got to figuring out all the bits and bobs.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's around at UKGE, I might see what it's like as the retail copy.
Yeah, with all the components.
Yeah. But we had fun punching bits of cardboard.
We did.
Yeah. So thank you very much for sending us a review copy.
Yes, thank you,
ITV. And then next we played one of my Kickstarter arrivals for 2019, which was Suro Phoenix Rising. Yep. So this is the third in the Suro series of games. And in this one you are phoenixes, and you've got to it was collecting stars, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it was the lanterns. You're collecting the lanterns.
And to do so, there are tiles that have little lanterns on, and if there is because you also got little, I don't know what to call them, avatars of lanterns, like little 3D printed lanterns.
Yeah.
So there are more tiles with lanterns printed on than there are of these 3D tokens. But you've got to make a path that passes through and exits a tile with one of the 3D lanterns on to then get a point, and then you get to move that lantern to another tile with a lantern on.
Yeah.
Just to try and mess with other players.
Yeah, if they've planned a route, you can maybe make it so there's no lantern on that tile anymore. So
yeah,
which sort of stops them.
With the phoenixes, you get one. I can't remember. It's like a life counter, basically a glass bead. And if you die, go off the board, whatever.
Oh yes.
You can come back once, and you spend your life token to come back anywhere on the edge that you would like to. And when you are building your path, if there is an empty square in front of you, then you have tiles, and you can draw an extra tile and play one that you want. If you end your go facing a tile that's already laid, then you don't draw an extra tile. But the next go, you can flip and rotate that tile to form a path that you want to go on.
Yeah.
So it's a good variation on the theme of the sort of follow the path, entanglement sort of game that Suro made very popular originally. And I like the little phoenix mechanism.
Oh, so where you're not just out if
you're
someone
not just
happens to
completely
make
out.
that takes you off the board.
Yeah, and I like that there's a bit more to manipulate. So you can flip tiles, you can rotate tiles, you can move the lanterns, and you've got to try and get through the tiles with the lanterns on. And it's not just about making the longest path or the most loops or whatever. It's a little bit more strategic, I suppose.
Yeah. I'll tell you what I really liked about this, from a component point of view, was the big tray board thing that you put all the tiles in.
Yeah.
Because obviously normally when you play a game like this, you'd have all the tiles on, but then as people picked them up and rotated them, you'd be like just disturbing the ones next to it as well, so it would all get a sort of a bit messy. But this, you've got this nice big tray that's got, is it a 6x6 or something?
I think it might be 8x8.
8x8. And then there's lots of these spaces big enough, and they're raised in the centre, so when you want to flip a tile over, you just sort of push it in one of the corners, and you can pick it up and flip it over. So
yeah, that's quite handy. It does make the box a lot bigger and heavier, though. And then after that, we played one of Asgard's games, which is Odin's Ravens.
Yeah, you wanted to back this a while ago, didn't you? Or buy it?
Yeah, I think I was looking at it at UKGE a couple of years ago, when there was a number of Odin and Raven based games that all came out in one year, and I haven't played it, but obviously now I have. Mm-hmm. And I believe the last people who played it before was you.
Yeah.
Because it was exactly how you left it.
Yes.
So nobody had played it in between. And the idea is you have this sort of tableau of little landscapes, and you've got to match cards that are in your hand in order to get your raven up and down the other side before the other one. So it's a 2-player game.
Yeah.
And you get little Loki cards which allow you to do extra bits and pieces. So like move one of the central cards so that one person has to take an extra step, or whereas you get to jump over a gap or stuff like that. It was fun. It was a lot simpler than I had imagined it to be, but it was still quite... there was enough there that it wasn't completely dead easy. It was still got some strategy in it. And then a few weeks ago we started our campaign of Dawn of Peacemakers. We finally managed to find a group of 4 people to play it.
We did, and I was so excited.
Yes. So those of you who may remember, this arrived a year ago today, actually. No, not today. A year ago today we were filming the unboxing video for it,
right,
so
okay.
You've had it for a while.
Yeah.
And it is a minis game. It is based in the Dale of Merchant's world, but it's like a strategy game.
I guess so. I don't really know how you would describe it because the mechanics are not like anything I've seen before.
No, basically there are two races who are bordering on war in the area, and you as adventurers have to try and de-escalate the situation in a number of different ways that you are capable of doing. And I can't really say much more without spoiling it.
Well, we can talk about the mechanisms. So there's decks of cards. So you've got cards that you can use for influence. So that allows you to look at the army decks, basically what they are. And at the end of every round, like the cards will get revealed saying this is what that army is going to do. Are they going to move? Are they going to attack? Are they going to like bunker down and defend themselves? So you can use influence to look at the cards and rearrange them so that the army does what you want them to do.
Yeah.
But you can also use the cards to move your character around. You can fortify or put reinforcements. It's like armor on a tile. Or lots of the cards have got different actions, so you can actually do what the action of the card is as well. So each card has got multiple uses. And it's just a legacy style game, really, isn't it? Where what happens in one scenario gives you a bonus or not in the next one, and changes some of the setup of the game. Because obviously, if some characters die or whatever, then they won't appear in later scenarios. So
yeah,
but I like it as expected. I think the choices you have to make as a player, sometimes it's best for you to do nothing so you can gain more cards and give yourself more options in a later go. But sometimes it's, well, I need to move my character to be on the same space as this colour army because I need to be able to do something. A lot of the cards are like, you can do this, but you have to be on a square. You have to be on a tile of that army to be able to do it. So like the influence action you can only do if you share a tile with that colour. So
yeah.
But so I mean I like it. I think it's unique. I don't think I've seen anything like it before. What do you think of it? Because we've played 3 scenarios now.
I think it's good. I think the last one started to get very long.
Yeah, they were introducing lots of new things. So there are envelopes and boxes inside, like in true Legacy style. You don't open until you get to a certain point.
Yeah, and
we opened those, and that was by far the longest game. I think it took us over 2 hours, didn't it? Yes.
Yeah. I think at the moment it's, I don't know. I don't want to I feel like we're being lulled into a false sense of security.
Oh right, okay.
I feel like we're going to get used to it and then something's going to happen. It's going to be like, nope, you can't play the way you were playing anymore. We're now going to make it twice as hard.
I mean, there are a lot of cards we haven't unveiled yet, so...
Yeah.
It's interesting as well, because we've got a member of our group, Harry, who's not a big gamer.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure how he would play the game, because obviously it's not something... I mean, the mechanisms, because they're not anything we've played before, but because we're gamers we can get used to it, but he's not a gamer, so I was interested to see how he would cope with all the various things. But actually I think he's cottoned on really quickly.
Yeah,
but he's not stupid, so
well, I'm sure he'll appreciate you saying that.
I'll cut that out. So yeah, Dawn of Peacemakers from Snowdale Design. If you like Dale of Merchants and you like that universe, but you want to play a different game in the same universe, then I would strongly recommend it. And he's making another one as well.
Yeah.
Called Lands of Galzir. So, which describes itself as an adventuring game with an open and persistent world. Everyone's actions have consequences in the current and later games. So it sounds like it's going to be a similar type legacy type game, but with different mechanisms. This one says it's dice rolling, pick up and deliver, push your luck, and storytelling. Each game continues where the previous ended with a clever save and load mechanism. There is no need for bookkeeping with paper or pencil. You play the games as many times as you wish and even swap players between sessions. So yes, that I'm looking forward to seeing that. Okay, with that, I think we should head on over to Kickstarter Corner. And it's time for our usual session, the what political satire games have we found on Kickstarter this month?
Yay.
Yeah, so I found 3 this month. It's a good month for political satire fans.
Indeed. Well, providing you like American political satire.
Yeah, they're all I mean, now Brexit is sort of...
Don't speak of it, Matthew.
Okay, sorry. Right, let's talk about this first game then, which is MAGA Country. Build the wall, drain the swamp, and defend MAGA Country and your presidency. They're all based around a similar theme, aren't they? These games. It's interesting, isn't it? So this has got 13 days left. 20 people have seen fit to give their money to this project, and it has got 4,000 Canadian dollars out of a goal of 175,000 Canadian dollars. I think that's been a bit ambitious, but MAGA Country has suffered for generations under the ultra-left-wing rule. As president of MAGA Country, it's your job to put the country back on course and make MAGA Country great again. Using those terms as all the other American political satire games do.
Yep. Ironically, made by a Canadian company.
Yeah, it's interesting. But there is a very obvious Donald Trump-esque central character, isn't there?
Yes.
So I don't think there's any... there's no subtlety in this game. It's at least some of them try and hide it a little bit. In this one, they've just gone straight out and do it. I mean, if you scroll down the game and look at the previews section, there's a character that looks like Chuck Schumer, who's is like the Democratic leader of the House, isn't he?
Mm.
And yeah, so if you want to back this, then go for it, I suppose. So that's the first one. That's MAGA Country.
Although you have to pay at least 55 Canadian dollars to get an actual physical copy of it.
Oh right, is there a print and play tier as well?
Well, the first 3 tiers have nothing to do. First 3 tiers are be featured on our website, suggest a card, and get a T-shirt.
Lovely.
I'm like, no.
No.
Not feeling it.
No, we'll give that a miss then.
What's next?
What about, if that doesn't appeal to you, what about Trump Roast, the tremendously huge, tasteless party game? Use Donald's best words to solve ridiculous global policy questions. So this one is American, and they had a goal of $15,000, a lot more modest. And they've currently had just shy of $5,000. 95 people like this one.
Mm.
Trump Roast is a mature party game inspired by Donald's best words, his beautiful hair, and endless love of red meat. Players choose their best position to ridiculous policy questions by selecting from a variety of real Trump quotes and special cards. If you don't find this game funny, you don't have a sense of humour. So each player starts with 6 position cards. The policymaker draws and reads the policy card, such as, what does Donald have tattooed on his lower back? 3 players play their best position card to solve the policy and win at the policy point. The policymaker shuffles and reads all position cards. So it's basically Cards Against Humanity.
Yeah.
That's basically what it is.
Yeah, as all these things are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The pledge levels are interesting. $38 for a copy of the game. $49 for a copy of the game, plus alternative rules, plus a well-done dinner napkin. Going all the way up to $250, where you can create your own custom cards, and one person has backed at that level.
Why? Just why?
Who knows?
44 people backed at the 48-hour discount pledge level. So 44 people backed it in the first 48 hours to get a slightly cheaper copy.
Oh, there you go. So, does that one appeal to you?
Not particularly.
Okay, then what about That's Politics, the original game of political satire?
The original game of political satire that I've never heard of.
Yeah, it's the original game of wit, strategy, and political savvy. This game is based on American politics and lets you run for US president. They have a goal of $3,500 and have currently got 13 backers and a total of $801. Welcome to the campaign. Welcome spelt without an E. A different kind of politics. Are you depressed? Is your refrigerator creating new life? Does that new life not revere you as you think it should? Well, this game won't help with any of that, but you'll have fun ignoring those things while playing it.
With a bunch of commas which are in there where they shouldn't be.
Oh. Do you want to print it out and show it to Chris? Maybe it'll trigger him.
I'll just get some red Sharpie and scribble all over it.
So, I don't even know. I can't even glean from the campaign what type of game this is. Oh, there's a video.
There's a video.
I'm not watching the video.
Who we be?
Yeah. The basics of the game are simple. Each candidate spends their turn trying to maximise the amount of electoral votes and donations they take in, while other players try to stall them out. Candidates can rally voters to their cause or spread nasty propaganda. Fun. So there you go. That's what we found in the world of political satire this month. So let's talk about something a bit more interesting. What we've been spending our money on Kickstarter this month. So you've backed one thing, I've backed three.
Yep.
So I'll talk about what I've done. So first up is not a game, but it's a game accessory. And this is actually proving very popular. And hopefully it will live up to what it is. So this is the Level Up. So basically what it is, it's like a portable tabletop playboard, but one that stands on legs. So say you were playing on a table that was just about big enough for the game. What you could do is you could put this on and play the game on the board, on the sort of like raised board, and then you've got the space underneath for snacks and cards and things that you need to play your game. So it just gives you extra space to play the game, which I quite like. I could see this being handy in the bar at work where we're playing Dawn of Peacemakers.
Yeah. Because
obviously we could have the board on top, and then we could all have our cards and things and our drinks and whatnot underneath. So
yeah,
just gives us a bit of extra room. We may get a few funny looks while we're using it, but I'm sure we get funny looks at the moment while when we're playing games in there anyway. So
probably. So
this is currently got, as I'm looking at it, the numbers are going up. So it's got nearly £500,000, and their goal was £7,500. So they had a few interesting challenges because they didn't announce any stretch goals until after they'd already funded, and then because they'd funded so much, they set their stretch goals to be like ridiculously high levels, and everyone was like, "Why are you setting your stretch goals to £1 million when your initial funding goal was like only £7,000?" And it's like, well, we didn't realise how popular it was going to be, but I guess they should have had all that planned out before they started the campaign.
Yeah.
Some of the things people have been suggesting are like a felt cover to go over it, magnetic things underneath, so that if you were playing with minis that had magnetic bases, then they would just stay on the table. Little clips to hold things on the side, or drinks holders and things like that. So lots of little add-ons. And I think this will come in quite useful, and it's obviously well funded, so just got to hope that the guys can follow through with their plans. Next up is actually a computer game. This is a game called Tangletorn, which is a roguelike deck building game set in a realm torn between opposing cosmic forces, where fate itself has become more of a suggestion than a rule. So looking at the game, it looks very Slay the Spire-esque, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where you're going through killing enemies and gaining cards. But I like the look of the artwork, and it's got that anthropomorphic animals thing that I like so much from Day of Merchants and Dawn of Peacemakers, so this just appealed to me. And not much more to say at the moment. I don't know what the projected release date is. It is supposedly October next year, but I'm guessing there'll be a beta or something out before then, so But yeah, 18 months until the game is actually released. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. And last of all is Sins, an infernal deck builder. Choose your own path in this small action-packed deck builder for up to 6 players or solo. Plays in 15 minutes per player. I think this is one of those games where if you want more than 2 players, you have to buy multiple decks. I pledged, what's that? I don't know what currency this is. DKK. That's from Denmark. So what
Danish
would that be?
Krona, yeah.
Okay. So what's that in pounds? I pledged. I've no idea. Let's have a look. £45 for 3 box sets, which includes 3 different ones: the Rise of Wrath, the Gloom of Greed, and the Ooze of Gluttony, and a big box to store them in. So I can play with up to 6 players. And it's a deck building game, but it says you are competing for power while trying to overcome weaknesses by negating despair from your opponents. To win, you increase their weaknesses while reducing your own through clever combos and strategic deck building. And I just thought it was an interesting theme, just something a bit different. And I'm getting to like deck builders, so I thought, yeah, this will do. And they've unlocked a lot of stretch goals, and yeah, it's successfully funded. They wanted 5,000 krona, and they got 275,000. So yeah, very well funded. So I look forward to seeing that. And already since the campaign ended, they've been putting updates out, letting people know what's going on. So yeah, it all looks good. So that's what I've been spending my funds on in the realm of Kickstarter this month. What about you, Ray?
Well, mine's sort of a 2-for-1.
It is, and it's one that I'm considering backing as well.
Yes, and it's from our good friends Alleycat.
Yay!
So this is the combined Kickstarter for Tinder Blocks and Kittin. Tinder Blocks we saw at UKGE.
Yes, they had a pre-release version in the press event, didn't they?
Yes, and it's sort of like one of these mint tin sized games. And in Tinder Blocks, you're building a campfire in a campfire building competition. And you have to make sure that it remains fairly stable, and so that it doesn't collapse. And then in Kittin, you are racing each other to build stacks of cats as fast as possible. Can you outpace your friends and become a cat stacking champion? And I quite liked Tinder Blocks when we saw it. And it was... how much was it? It was £10 just to get Tinder Blocks. Well, it's £10 to get one of the tins. And then it's £18 to get 2 of the tins. So I've gone for that so I can get 1 Tinder Blocks and 1 Kittin.
Oh, okay.
Now there are 2 versions of Tinder Blocks. There's Tinder Blocks Day, Basic, and Tinder Blocks Night, Kickstarter. What the difference is, I'm not entirely sure. What's in the Tinder Blocks tin, Kickstarter edition? Oh yeah, so the Kickstarter edition is going to have a slightly different coloured tin, which will be a nighttime one, but otherwise I think it's fairly similar, except there's a couple of extra exclusive cards that are being voted for by backers throughout the campaign.
So yeah, there you go.
Well, if you did want to back it, then I could get a special unique referral link.
Oh.
That then, if you back it through my link, then I get a reward of some description.
How do they know that, though?
Because you email them and they generate you a unique link.
Okay.
I was meaning to do this and then I just haven't. I forgot.
Okay. Well, go for it, because I probably will.
Cool.
And I'll probably get them both, just like you. So it's good. They're like really small little games that you can just carry around, aren't they? So.
Yeah, and I've got Mint, the third Mint. Well, the second and third of the Mint series
That's cooperative, and what's the other one?
I can't remember. The second one's is the second one the delivery company?
Mint Delivery, yeah.
Yeah, and then the third one is Mint something else.
Cooperative.
Yeah. So I've got them coming at some point this year.
Hopefully.
So I'll have a nice little stack of teeny weeny games.
Yeah.
To take on holidays and stuff.
Or just put them in your bag and bring them to work every day.
Yeah.
Just on the off chance.
Just sit there playing with tweezers and tiny cubes of wood.
Ray, can you update the version of Firefox on all the PCs on campus?
No,
I'm busy.
I'm building a campfire. I'm stacking cats. Can't you see I'm busy?
Okay, so let's talk about what we've had arrive this month. So you've not had anything since the last episode, have you?
I've had one thing.
Oh, have you? What's that?
Yes. I have had Animal Adventures Tales of Cats and Catacombs.
Oh.
Which is the cat-based, well, the cat-themed minis collection by Russ, who is a friend of Gareth's from Steamforged Games.
Yes.
And it arrived this week, I think. Only a couple of days ago. I think it arrived on Thursday. And I've had a nice, good look at all of them, and I've identified one that I reckon I could use for my D&D. It's not a Furbolg, but there doesn't appear to be any Furbolg minis, so I'll just be a cat instead.
Fair enough.
Yes, Russ Charles from Steamforged Games, and there is currently another campaign in the series, which is Animal Adventures Secrets of Gullet Cove, and that has if I go to the campaign page, more minis, unsurprisingly, but doggies.
Yay.
There's doggy heroes and a little doggy pirate called Roger.
Lovely.
And some more cats.
So what do you actually have in your set then? What does it come with? Little minis, presumably, yeah?
Yes.
You said that.
It's minis of cats of various, classes.
Yeah.
So you've got like a bard, a barbarian, a sorcerer.
Oh, okay.
Warlock, cleric, wizard, and a necromancer.
Hey.
And so you get
is it like a campaign booklet or anything?
6, 8, 10, 12. You get 12 minis.
Okay.
Well, 13 minis because you get the necromancer. And you get rules and a little Tales, the lair of the necromancer.
Ah, right, okay. And is it 5e compatible?
Yes.
Excellent, okay.
Our rules set contains OGL 5th edition racial rules for creating
Okay, yeah.
blah blah blah. And there's a little map, but as I haven't done an unboxing of it, I have not opened the box.
Oh, very good.
To play with my tiny cats.
Okay, we'll have to do that soon then.
Yes. But if anybody is interested in the newer one, it's got dogs, cats, were-rats, zombie cats and skelly cats, a necromastiff, a rat king, and the rataclysm.
I approve of the punnage.
Yeah, so there's... The minis are all really good, and Russ did the sculpts for the... Resident Evil minis game.
I have no idea.
He did. Because Gareth kept going on about it and how great it was. Because Gareth likes both minis and Resident Evil.
Are you planning on DMing it, or are you just going to give it to someone else and say, here you go?
I don't know. I've still got Humblewood that I have all the rule books and stuff and haven't played, and now I've got this and our D&D campaign that sort of hasn't really done anything since last summer.
Yeah.
So who knows?
Right. So mine, I've got a few things that have arrived. First thing is, I got my copy of the 2019 Tabletop Games Kickstarter report that Steve Hampson was doing. He delivered it not long after the campaign ended, and I haven't had a chance to really go through and dissect the information in there yet, but you've had a look at it as well, haven't you? And there is a lot of stuff in there.
Yeah.
Lots of information, basically about every single tabletop game that funded in 2019, or tabletop adjacent, dice or accessories or things like that. So yeah, I'm going to have a proper read through that, and then maybe we'll be able to spot trends and things, so it should be quite interesting. Takenoko Giant. Now, I didn't back Takenoko Giant. I backed for receiving an organiser for the inside of Takenoko, which arrived, and I spent a good hour putting it together a few nights ago, and it's very nice. It's high quality wood. It says use glue, but I was able to just get the pieces to stay together without using glue, but I may glue them together at some point. But it's a much nicer way of organising the game inside the box, and one of the biggest problems I had with the out of the box organiser, if that makes sense, was the fact that when I was transporting it around, I'd noticed that the different colours of bamboo would all get mixed up.
Yeah.
Because they would just fall in from one compartment to another. With this, that shouldn't happen because they're almost the full size of the box, and with the rules and things on top, I don't think there's enough room for them to move. So yeah, and it's also got room inside for the expansion stuff as well, which I don't have, but it does mean that if I do buy the Chibi expansion, then I should be able to fit all those in there as well. So it was very nice. There's a picture on Instagram, I think, if people want to see what that looks like. So. And then in the realm of games, I won't talk about these in too much depth. Unboxing videos are coming up. A couple of them are already online. We have Brains from Jelly Bean Games, which is the third game in the Treasure Hunter series, following on from Scuttle and Ninjutsu, which is just a fun small card game where you're playing cards to try and get a total of 21 points in front of you, but also trying to stop your opponents from doing the same. Jumble Jam, which is a game where you are playing like grandchildren of a master baker, trying to impress her by making the tastiest treats. And it comes with the Kickstarter edition came with lots of nice little tokens of little cakes and cookies, but there's also these really cute little cat tokens, which you haven't seen, but you've seen the video, haven't you?
Yeah, I've seen them with my eyes. I haven't seen them in person.
But they are super cute and
They
pretty
are.
cool. Movie Empire has arrived, which is a game where you are running a movie studio and you're trying to, I think, recruit stars and make movies that match certain genres to try and get the most money and the most people watching your films. So I'll know a bit more about that when I play it. And finally, Hero Master, an epic game of epic fails, which if you want to know more about, just look for our previous episode where we had an interview with the designer, Jamie Noble Fryer, the Noble artist himself. And he talks all about the game. And basically, you are playing adventurers who are like the bottom of the barrel. You're the guys who get picked last because you're not very good at adventuring. So I'm guessing there's lots of bumbling and you make lots of mistakes. But it looks really nice. And he did all the art himself. And yeah, he does lots of art in that sort of style. He's done greetings cards and all sorts of stuff. So if you like that, then you'll like Hero Master, an epic game of epic fails. So that's what I've had arrive since the last episode. So let's move on to our ones to watch. So what's your first one to watch this month, Ray?
My first one to watch is Altered Carbon, the role-playing game. Now, this is based on the Netflix series, which was in turn based on a novel or series of novels. And the game, they've said, yep, we've based it on both game and Netflix series. It's a neo-noir cyberpunk series, dystopian sort of thing. And if you haven't seen the Netflix, even if you just see the trailer, but or read any of the books, in this dystopian future, the human mind is nothing more than digital code saved and stored on a cortical stack, which you basically like slot into the back of your head on your body. And it's possible for you to re-sleeve your consciousness into a new body. So you can wear whatever body you can afford, transmit your mind across the cosmos in an instant. And if you've got the credits and political sway, you can re-sleeve time and again for centuries. So you can.
Does that mean you could take someone else's body then? If you got more money than them, you could say, no, you don't have that body anymore, I have it. Or are they like grown, genetically engineered type thing? Or
I'm not sure, because I didn't watch that far into the series. I watched like the first episode, and I haven't read any of the book.
Fair enough.
So this is an RPG where character death is a bit different, because if you die, you can, in theory, instead of making an entirely brand new character, you can put your character's consciousness along with the experience and so on into a new sleeve if you pay for it. Apparently, when you lose a sleeve, by your body, there is life-altering setbacks, and if your stack is destroyed, then it's real death for the character. So I thought that was interesting way of taking something that comes from this, like the Altered Carbon world, and putting it into an RPG to make the RPG a little bit more, I don't know, interesting.
Yeah.
Like, you might be a bit more reckless because you think you can... If you die, you don't necessarily die. But there's always the possibility. And then, because it's like a cyberpunky type thing, there's also, like, augmentations, so you can upgrade your things like athleticism. And it says... But even a world-class surgeon in an unadjusted sleeve can botch a basic procedure. So you can go and try and get one of these augmentations, and it could go fine, but it could also go completely wrong. And you could be completely fucked. Swearing, sorry.
It's all right. It sounds interesting. I like the fact that I'm looking at the stretch goals, and for a start, one of them is stretch goal 6. There's a new source book called Birmingham, which is quite interesting. But also, if at a certain level, I think at $225,000, some of the minis will be based on the characters from the TV show.
Yeah, so they've got this like hazard system to find, to do stuff. I don't know. They've got this hazard system, which adds another unique gameplay element, which has only been designed for this particular RPG. And while I'm obviously still fairly much of a noob to RPG world, it's still, I think it's definitely one to watch. I think it's already surpassed its funding by quite a considerable amount.
Oh yeah.
They wanted 20,000. They're currently at 187,955, with 23 days to go. So if you fancy an RPG of Altered Carbon, a bit cyberpunky, a bit neo-noir, with interesting death mechanics, I suppose, have a look at Altered Carbon. The starting pledge is $25, which will get you a PDF copy of the Rupaga.
Cool.
And it funds on Wednesday the 4th of March, so you've got a while left.
So my first one to watch is The Rival Networks. This is from Gil Hover and Former Ferret Games. a name you should recognise because I've previously talked about some of their games, specifically the networks. So this is a 2-player streamlined version of the game. Says it plays in around 30 to 45 minutes. It's easy to learn and you don't need to know how to play the networks. So the basic sort of plot is the same in that you are TV network executives trying to build up your network and get the most viewers. It says the differences from the networks are that one, it's only a 2-player game. Instead of choosing between a show, a start and an ad and so on, in this game you get a show, start and an ad every turn. What makes things interesting is how you use them. There is now no limit to the number of stars you can put on a single show. However, you may only attach stars to a single show each turn, and the stars you attach must have the icon of the show you're attaching to, so certain stars will only go in certain genres. There's no aging mechanism, so in the networks, generally the longer a show goes on, the less viewer you get, although there are some that peak at a certain point and then go back down again. And also, the time slots in this are more important. So it just looks like a nice, more streamlined version. I mean, I like the networks. We've played it a couple of times, but it's another one of those games where it's got a bit of setup time, not as bad as Dinosaur Island, which I was talking about earlier, but it does take a few minutes to set up. And also, if you're playing it with a lot of people you've never played before, it takes them a bit of time to get into it. But this, I think, most of the time when I'm playing a game, it's only with one other person. So I think this would help me, scratch that itch of wanting to play the networks, but a more streamlined, quicker version. $20,000 goal. He's currently got $33,000. 901 backers and 5 days to go as of recording. So this one finishes around Valentine's Day. So yeah, if you like the look of the networks but thought it was a bit too deep or heavy for you, then the rival networks might be up your street. So yeah, that's my first one to watch.
Super duper. My next one is not live yet.
Oh.
So I can't tell you much more other than it is Dragoon, the Might and Magma expansion. And it's a modular expansion for 2 to 6 players. Destruction has befallen the island and power is corrupting everyone with golden glory. And there's a little image which includes an erupting volcano. Now, Dragoon is one of these games that I didn't back because I was like, nah, and I wasn't sure. And then it turned out to be a ridiculously good, very popular game by Laywaste Games, and I have been trying to get a copy of it or play a copy of it since then, and it's ridiculously difficult to find seats at UKG to, play it and so on. Standard edition is £50, or gold edition is £80. Ooh.
Wow.
But they have some lovely little dragons, and yeah. The idea of Dragoon, the first one, is be the dragon, gold hoarding, human destroying, fire breathing, race to 50 gold. And you can either buy it with metal pieces or plastic pieces. And the metal dragon meeples look so nice. So nice. And I'm really annoyed at myself that I never backed it, because they've since had the previous expansion, which was the Rogue and Barbarian expansion, and then this one that has not gone live yet, the Might and Magma expansion. That'll be the second one. And if I remember correctly, when I got the email about it, I believe it's going to go live sometime in February. I think it's mid-February. So keep an eye out for it.
Okay.
If you've... I can't remember. I think if you've ever backed anything by Lay Waste Games before, you will have had an email inviting you to like the project in advance of it going live. So that's what I've done.
So you'll get a notification when it launches?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I believe if you're in the first X number, then I think there's some extra goodies involved.
Okay.
So yeah, that is my second one to watch.
Cool. My second one is one of those lovely games where both of our, shall we say, things that we often go for in games collide. And this is Neko Neko Cafe, the board game, where you're all playing cats who are trying to be bakers in a bakery.
Aww.
So it has cats and food.
Cats and food.
A new cafe has just opened up in town, and you must compete with your fellow felines for the position of head baker. The only downside is that literally all of you are chefs. You can't remember the last time you decorated a cake or even put some pre-packaged cookies in the oven. Unfortunately, the economy around here is pretty terrible, and this is the best paying job you can find that still allows you to work in a kitchen. So set your frying pan aside and get ready to frost some cupcakes, because the competition to win over as many paying customers as you can and earn the title of head baker is on. So yeah, you're all playing as cat chefs who are turning their hands to being bakers. So this is from... who's this from? Bunyan Games. And this is their first game on Kickstarter. It's got 5 days to go, and so far it's around 2/3 of the way to funding. So they want $8,500, and they've currently got $5,662. 70 backers, 5 days to go. And, it's a game about food, so... Yeah, don't need to say any more than that, do I?
No.
So, Neko Neko Cafe, the board game, is my second one to watch. So, your next one, Ray, was... If we'd have done one more, I would have chosen this, so I'm glad you chose it.
Well, as I speak, it only has 45 hours to go.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure how good it is as a one to watch. However, it's worth commenting on the basis it's got over $2 million
Yeah.
pledged to it from a $10,000 goal. And it is Here to Slay. Now, why has it got over $2 million? Because it is from the man who brought us both Tea Turtle and Unstable Unicorns. The ridiculous runaway success
Yeah.
of the last couple of years. And Here to Slay is slightly different because it is a role-playing card game. So it's not the same mechanics as Unstable Unicorns. Now, it's 2 to 6 players, role-playing competitive strategic fantasy card game. You assemble a party of heroes to slay dangerous monsters while working to avoid the sabotage of your foes. The game also includes items you can equip to your heroes, 1v1 challenge cards, and roll modifiers to tip the odds in your favour. The first party to slay 3 monsters or assemble a full party wins the game. Now, I think a full party is, 8 characters, maybe. And if you... So the standard edition is $20. That doesn't get you any of the stretch goals. But for $25, you get the Kickstarter exclusive edition, which has the KS exclusive base game and all the KS exclusive stretch goals, which so far includes Warrior and Druid class promo hero cards, a dice tower, an Unstable Unicorn party leader card, Kickstarter exclusive hero cards, 6 thereof, Kickstarter exclusive party leader cards, 3 more, an exclusive item card, 4 exclusive modifier cards, an exclusive magic card, an exclusive cursed item card, exclusive challenge cards, 6 of. So there's quite a lot in there.
Yeah.
And that's only the like the basic Kickstarter exclusive. You've then got the Kickstarter exclusive plus the expansions. Then you've got the Adventurer set, which is all of that. 7 playmats, card sleeves, and all the stretch goals, and the expansions. And then on top of that, you've got a Party Leader set, which is all of the regular stuff, 7 playmats, card sleeves, 6 classes of hero meeples, 60 in total, 6 exclusive Party Leader acrylic standees, and all the stretch goals. And then there's another 2 things on top. There's another 2 whatchamajigs, pledge levels on top of that, which is just going more and more and more and more and more and more stuff. But for $25, I think that level is pretty good value for money.
Yeah.
More people have gone for the exclusive plus expansions, which is $39. And they're only doing $9 shipping to the UK, which, considering the political climate and recent events, mentioning nothing in particular, I was expecting to start seeing more on the older shipping costs. So guess it while the shipping's still only $9. And I'm very tempted, with 45 hours to go, to actually back it, but I don't know. It does look really fun.
It's definitely going to be out retail, isn't it? Because all their previous games have come out, but obviously you've got to decide: do you want the Kickstarter exclusive stuff? £20.
That's where there's all the extra stuff. So for $5 more, you get a huge bunch of stuff and a special different art on the box. And
including delivery, it's only £26. So
yeah, so that's not particularly bad. Expected in September 2020.
Cool.
So yeah, that's my last one to watch.
Okay, my last one is one that I just happened to catch my eye before we started recording. So we're going to discover this one together. And this is fruit. Now, how would you say this? Fruticola? Fruticola?
I was saying Fruticola in my head.
Okay. A small town in the US in the 50s. Who will be able to produce and sell the best jams by the Christmas sale?
Gosh.
Yes. Now, this is by geochicks.it. And if I remember correctly, I've backed a game from these people before, haven't I?
Yes, I think I have as well.
Yeah. Which game is it? That is the question. It's not one that they've created on Kickstarter, because it's... So maybe they've done it with someone else. So let's just have a look at their BGG. Here we go. Their BGG page and see which ones they've created. Sam Hain is one of theirs.
Yes, that's why.
Sawain.
That's Sawain, yeah.
So that's one, but I'm sure I've got one as well. It must just be that one, because I can't see any of the others that I recognise. But, at least we know they've delivered the game before.
Yeah.
So that's good. This is a strategic game, and for 2 to 4 players that lasts around 60 minutes. And it comes with lots of nice little meeples and things representing lots of different jams and ingredients and things like that. In the 1950s, a small town in the US was famous for its fruit-bearing trees. Its local companies were competing against each other, producing jams that kept getting tastier, which in turn made the town get more and more famous. Every year after the Christmas party, the local entrepreneurs compared their profits. Will you be the best this year? So there's the plot, and you are playing one of these companies trying to make the tastiest jams. You can buy developments from the town store. You can harvest fruits in the orchard. You can buy pesticides and fertilizers in the chemical plant. You have your factory where fruits are turned into jams. You have a market where you sell your jams and crates of fruit, leftover fruit I would imagine, and you can hire apprentices. So and there's also a Tabletopia version you can play as well. I don't know if that's free or you have to pay for it. It does say this will allow you to play the game before purchasing it, so I would imagine it's free if you've got Tabletopia. So yeah, I just saw this and I like the idea of. It's funny, I've got a couple of games about making jam. Actually, thinking about it, but this one looks a bit more complicated. Most of the others just small card games, but this one looks like a proper Euro game. So yeah, looks like it's got a bit more depth to it. And it's the standard version of the game is £29, or the deluxe version. There is an early bird, which still has a couple of days left. No, 21 hours left at the time of recording. So I could get the deluxe edition for only £33. Shipping is charged afterwards. I think about an estimate of what they expect the shipping charges to be. Yes, EU. Around €13, so that's not too bad. So yeah, that is Fruticola, or however you want to pronounce it. So yeah, that's it for our ones to watch. So it's that time of the year again, right?
Da da da.
It's time for
Kickstarter awards.
So yes, it's time when we look back at the Kickstarters we've had over the last 12 months and talk about what were our favourites. So not only from a gaming point of view, but from a communication or just general campaign point of view. So this isn't just ones that we've backed this year, this is anything we've had arrive this year. So it could be something that we backed a year or two ago, but as long as the communication and everything has been good, then it might end up on this list. So we've got our top 3 each. So I'll let you start this year, right? What is your third place Kickstarter of 2019?
Third place is Ice Cream Dice.
Ooh.
Yes, it's an accessory, but they're very lovely accessories.
They are.
They're very well priced. There was excellent campaign management and communication throughout. And beyond the campaign.
Yeah, I think Mark was quite honest with everyone about the problems he experienced during the campaign, things not going as he expected, but he never left anyone in the dark. He always put updates out telling everyone what was going on. Yeah.
And they arrived pretty soon after I was told that they were on their way, and they're very high quality and lovely in person as well as on the screen, I suppose.
Yeah.
And there was some free stickers.
Oh yes, I forgot about
some ice cream cones, but with D20s in the ice cream.
Did you get the pin as well?
I don't think so. I think I just got stickers.
I got a little ice cream pin with mine. So
I might have. However, I have, since it probably went in the bag with the dice.
Yeah.
That I have now put somewhere and or has been tidied up. So I'm not sure where it is.
Yeah, unfortunately because of our lack of D&D, we haven't been able to use them yet.
Yes, I do need to give everybody a bit of a poke, just so I can show off my new dice.
So in third place for me is Museum from Holy Grail Games. Now I backed this back at the end of 2017. It was due to arrive originally in August 2018, but it was actually slightly delayed. So it arrived early last year. And I've had a chance to play this, and I must say it's really nice. I mean, they had a reasonable presence at UKGE last year, didn't they? They had a nice big stand with tons and tons of copies of the game for sale. And I hope it did well, because this is a really fun game where you are basically a curator of a museum, and it's mostly set collection in that you're gathering sets of artifacts from different periods, Greek or Roman or whatever, and trying to create exhibits in your museum of certain types and gaining points based on numbers of a similar set that you have together. So I really, really enjoyed this. I played it once, and recently, was it end of last year, I backed the deluxe edition on Kickstarter, which has got an updated rule book and extra components. So yeah, it's really good, and the art is wonderful by Vincent Dutray, and it looks really, really nice. And if you like set collection games, then I think people really like this. And as I say, it's been out, it's made it to retail, it's done very well, and I would definitely recommend it. So yeah, my third place this year is Museum from Holy Grail.
My number 2 is something that I was talking about earlier in the episode, and that's Suro Rise of the Phoenix. Not sure what else I can say that I didn't say earlier. I really like the Suro games, and there's fun Phoenix minis in it, and also fun dragon minis and boat minis for the previous 2 games, even though I don't own those. And it's cool and fun, and it arrived pretty much when it was supposed to, and yeah, obviously I've already exhausted most of my description about it earlier.
Yeah.
So yes, Suro Rise of the Phoenix is my number 2.
Okay, my number 2 is Villagers from Sinister Fish Games. So again, this is a game I've had the opportunity to play, and really, really enjoyed it. So this is where you are, it's sort of like a city building and drafting game, where you are buying like villagers for a village that you are populating, and each one has different abilities, and you can evolve villagers from one type into another, so they get you more resources, which you're then using to buy more villagers. And it's just a really, really nice game. So I backed this in June 2018, and it was due to arrive in February 2019. According to Kickstarter, I marked it as received in July, so it wasn't too late. It was only a few months behind schedule. But again, the communication was great throughout. Sinister Fish, I've backed games from before. I think what was it? Great Scott was one of their games. Yeah, he's launched 2, Great Scott, the game of Mad Invention, and Villagers. And I'm excited to see what they come up with next. And there's lots of good accessories for this. You can get a nice play mat, or there are expansions with extra things. And in fact, on their website recently, they put a replacement card pack available, because there were a few ambiguities or mistakes in some of the cards that came with the game. So you just go to the website and sign up for that, and they'll be shipping those out very soon. So yeah, they've done really well, and yeah, can't wait to see what they come up with. So that is Villagers from Sinister Fish Games as my second best game of the year in Kickstarter terms.
Okay, my number 1 is again, not an actual game, gaming adjacent, and that's the Seb McKinnon. Originally, it was the Seb McKinnon playmat campaign, but there was also the opportunity to back just to get art prints, which is what I did and what Chris did. So it's Chris's one and only Kickstarter, and it was run really well. The art was great. I mean, obviously, otherwise wouldn't have backed it.
Yeah.
I backed to get 2 pieces. Chris backed to get 1 piece. So now we have quite a lot of Seb McKinnon art, as we had some already. I think it took a little bit longer than I was expecting it to. However, they're really great quality, and they're all numbered, and they're all going to be exclusive. So there's only X number of each print, and it's all been marked as this is number 19 of whatever. So that's my number 1, primarily because I didn't have that many games arrive in 2019 that I have actually had the opportunity to play. So whereas Coral Islands did arrive, I haven't had an opportunity to play it yet. Which is why Suro gets in there, but nothing else in terms of actual games. But yes, my number one was Seb McKinnon's art campaign.
Okay. My number one, which should come as no surprise, is the Dale of Merchants collection.
Da, 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 da.
So, I've talked about Dale of Merchants to death over the years, but suffice to say, as soon as I saw that this was coming, I was eagerly awaiting it. A big box to store the existing Dale of Merchants games in, along with lots of new Animal Folk cards and new mechanisms to make the game more interesting, hero cards so that every player's got a unique ability, cards that you can use to randomise the decks that you play the game with, everything in one big box, and I just love it. I think it's great. And if you watch the Kickstarter unboxing video I did, you can probably tell how excited I was when I did it. So, in fact, didn't I did this because I couldn't wait to open the box, could I? So I did this on my own before we could get together and do our regular unboxing videos. So that's how excited I was to play this game. So Snowdale Design, Dale of Merchants Collection, my number one Kickstarter of the year. So that's the good. Now it's time to do our usual look at things that were supposed to be here by now, but still haven't arrived. So I've got 7 tabs that I've just opened with things that have passed their estimated delivery date. So,
well, I have a couple of things that aren't past their delivery date yet, but I know that they are going to end up being past their delivery date, owing to the coronavirus and shutting down of basically all manufacturing and exportation out of certain areas of China, Hong Kong and so forth. So I have a couple of those, which, in all honesty, I don't mind. If your government mandates that everything shuts down, I'm cool with you being a few weeks late. And that particular Kickstarter wasn't even like sort of gamer related. It's just some enamel pins.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there was another one that sent me an update recently that said, "Oh, we might have a problem, but we're not sure yet." Some people's ice cream dice haven't left China yet, but yeah. So there's a couple of. And I can't remember whether I backed for one of the add-ons, because I thought I did an add-on for the fancy dice bag, which had all like the waffle cone, but apparently the add-ons haven't all been sent out yet. But I also can't remember whether I did or didn't.
Yeah.
But, so yeah, there's that and some enamel pins that have been affected by the coronavirus outbreak. But let's get back to things that are really late. Let's go to the bottom of the list. Let's see if there's anything down here. Right. Documenting a fading past. I'm pretty sure I said last year this is the one that I've given up on the basis that they clearly just
not
ripped people's money off.
Yeah.
The Drawing and Arts one again from 2015. She clearly was just having people's money. And then I think it is, yes, Ghost Theory, a serious take on paranormal research, which was last updated December 31st, 2018.
Wow, okay.
Which said final breakpoint is here. Which said a couple of months after the campaign ended, one of their external to Kickstarter investors pulled out, and at that point they had 30 developers on board, and then they basically just went downhill from there. There's still a button on the page which says pre-order here, crowdfunding it continues, to which they're apparently making a documentary. Not quite sure what's going on there. Oh, and pre-order is temporarily suspended.
Okay.
So I'm just going to say Ghost Theory probably not showing up at any time ever. And then I'm pretty sure the only other one I've got is Femida, which I have mentioned at least twice before. And this had a relatively recent-ish update. I mean, compared to the other one, this had an update 2 days ago. Which is update 31. It isn't out yet, but let's test it before we release together. So there are test source files to download to test it. And there will be a Steam release at some point. I can't even remember what half of it was about. I think you're a judge, and it's a story-driven, decision-based game. And it's taken them a bit longer, but these guys have actually kept in touch. Roughly once a month, once every 2 month updates to say, this is where we are, this is what's going on. So in that respect, they're a lot better than the Ghost Theory guys. This was originally due to be delivered in December 2017. So it's already 2 years late. Yeah, so in the interim period, it's been greenlit on Steam, which I think helped them get a bit more momentum.
Yeah.
But they were trying to build an entire game on £2,000. So I think possibly they didn't quite estimate how much money they needed and time. But yes, other than those two, I'm pretty sure. Oh, has this not arrived? Oh no, this has this. Oh, sorry, I just noticed something that I haven't ticked, but it looks like it has come out, and I just haven't activated it on Steam because I've forgotten about it, which does seem to happen a couple of times. But yeah, so Femida and Ghost Theory are my two super lates.
So mine, at least I think 2 or 3 of these I've mentioned on the last couple of years. So the first one, unless I get an update, I'm not going to mention it again. It's Yukon Salon, a very hairy game. The one where you are putting hairstyles on the lumberjacks' beards or on the heads of bears. Last time this project was updated was in May 2018, where the creator said, oh, it's almost ready, the game's still happening, I'll have everything to the printer by the end of the month, and we'll let you know soon after when the game's going to ship. And of course, after that, people heard nothing. Lots of comments on the Kickstarter saying, can I have a refund, when am I getting this game? The guy still seems to be active in the community. It's a guy called David Fuden. He's backed other Kickstarters in the meantime, but it seems like he's just given up on this one. So, I mean, I've got no problems with a project funding because of unforeseen circumstances or whatever, but this one, it really does look like he's just taken the money and decided, nah, forget it, I'm not going to bother. Which is just not the way to do these things, is it?
No.
Someone did point out on the comments, though, I've realised a few weeks ago, that the campaign actually has the print and play version for download. So I've downloaded it. I'm tempted to either get it printed or maybe make a tabletop simulator version of it.
Yeah.
Because, the files are there and he's obviously not interested in doing anything with it anymore. So yeah. Interestingly, though, the files are on Dropbox and they're still there. So I've got no idea what's going on in that instance. Why would you leave the files on Kickstarter still? But yeah, they're still there. So yeah, I'll grab those. So that was supposed to be delivered in August 2017. So we're now coming up to 2.5 years late, and nearly 2 years since the last update. Next up is A Dog's Life, a game where you are playing a little dog, and it had all these nice, lovely dog minis. And we said this before, we actually saw a physical copy of this game at the Bring and Buy at UKGE one year, didn't we?
Yeah.
It's supposed to be delivered in December 2017. The Kickstarter campaign page has been suspended due to an intellectual property dispute. And if you look on their Facebook page for, I think it's Beaton Games, they said, oh yeah, we've sorted all this out, the campaign will be up soon. And then it just never came back up, and they started posting their journey. And what they would do is they would post one picture and then go, this happened in December 2017, and then they'd post another picture and saying, oh look, in January 2018 we were getting there. And then they kept doing this, and then about 6 months ago they just stopped, and then they haven't posted anything else. So it's like they were stringing people along for a little while and then stopped. So, and there's been basically radio silence from them for a few months. So again, it just looks like they've just decided that they just can't do it, so they'll just take the money. Next up is one that is delayed, but I'm not too worried about. It's Seize the Bean from Quality Beast, supposed to be delivered in September 2018. But they are still providing updates. The last one was less than a week ago. They are doing one generally every week or two, advising you what the updates are. They're still translating the rulebooks and finalising the artwork, but they're providing lots of good information and letting people know what's going on. So I think this got a lot of attention because they were very popular the year they went to UKGE, weren't they? Because we couldn't get anywhere near to play a copy of the game. So yeah, 3,000 backers. A few people saying in the comments things like, oh, I just want my money back, I'm not interested in playing this game now because it's been too long, which seems like a bit of a stupid comment to me, but there you go. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and hopefully by this time next year I will no longer be mentioning it in my delayed Kickstarters. So another one that's not far from completion is Sweet Mess from Big Kid Games. This is a game where you are playing a master chef making desserts and things like that, with lots of nice moulded plastic containers and things for holding your components and your recipe tokens and things like that. That was originally supposed to arrive back in December 2018. I don't think they're that far out away from completion now, but they've been delayed because of coronavirus. So I think they've had the pre-production sample arrive. Yes, they have. So they've got the pre-production sample, they've signed off on it, so it's just waiting on production. So hopefully that will be arriving within the next few weeks or months. So looking forward to that. And then we're getting to ones that aren't really that far behind, but because they are past their due dates, so I'd better mention them anyway. So we've got Chai, the tea board game, which has been produced. It is en route. It is currently on a ship, and in fact, Karen has been tracking said ship because she pre-ordered it online. She didn't realise I backed it on Kickstarter, so she bought her own copy, and she's been sending updates on where the ship is. I think it's in Rotterdam at the moment. So yeah, the games aren't far off being delivered, so hopefully I won't have to wait too long for that.
Super duper.
We have Bloom, which was supposed to arrive last month, which is about laying flower tiles and building a garden, if I remember correctly. So let's see when their last update was. Their last update was on February the 5th. So yeah, they've not gone radio silence. They're keeping people updated on what's going on. So hopefully that won't be too long. Last of all, isn't a game, but I thought I'd mention it anyway. I think I talked about this on the podcast when I backed it. The Little Big Adventure Symphonic Suite.
Yeah.
Which was a remake, reimagining, reorchestration of the game, of the music from the game Little Big Adventure, which was one of my favourite adventure games in the 1990s. And yeah, there hasn't been an update on that for 3 months, but it was the last update I think was a video from the composer saying, you know, I've done it, and we're getting there. We'll soon be recording it live, so hopefully there shouldn't be too much longer to wait for this one. I'm not worried yet. If they give it another few weeks without responding, I may start to get worried. But for now, 2 months ago they said they would start recording early in 2020. So shouldn't be too much longer, hopefully. So everything else is due in the future. So which brings us to the end of this episode. So if you want to follow us on social media, we're on all the usual platforms at Togcast, TOGcast.
If you want to listen to us, we're on all your podcast platforms of choice. If you just search The Offline Gamer, or you can go direct to soundcloud.com/offline gamer.
You can find all of our YouTube videos as well as links to everything we've just mentioned on our website, offlinegamer.co.uk.
And if you want to get in touch by email, you can do so on offlinegamerpodcast@gmail.com, or we have a contact form on the site.
So that's it for another episode. So we will see you in a few weeks for our next one. And happy gaming, Ray. Hopefully we'll have done a few more scenarios of Dawn of Peacemakers and be progressing well through the campaign by then. So
hopefully so.
We might be halfway through by then, actually, because we've only got 3 more to go until we're halfway. So I think we're missing this week, but if we do 3 more before the next episode, we'll be
we'll be in there.
We will. So thanks everyone again for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
I'll put a little fanfare in there. Not that one.
Okay.